Somebody can make a horrible choice that takes the lives of two girls and can be forgiven, and then healing can begin, and you can actually be in the same place at the same time with this person, and you can be okay.
Mark chapter 11, Jesus was talking about what we should do when somebody does us wrong. He said in verse 25, forgive them and let it drop. Leave it and let it go. Notice the principle, drop it, leave it, and let it go. Unforgiveness only locks you into your past. It makes you a prisoner to your pain, your bad memories, your regrets. But you have the choice to leave that captivity. Forgiveness is the key to that freedom. Forgive the people that hurt you. Forgive the boss that did you wrong. Forgive the friend that betrayed you. Forgive the loved one who broke your heart. Forgive the parent who mistreated you. Forgive your brother or sister. Freely you have been forgiven, so freely give. Drop it, leave it, let it go.
May 11th, 2002, my sister-in-law came and knocked on the door. The next words that came out of her mouth were, there's been an accident. It was Meagan. She didn't make it.
I woke up unconscious in the back seat of my truck. They said that they were going to take a blood sample. I asked them what for, and they said, well, don't act like you don't know that there's two girls dead in the car over there.
How am I going to breathe? How am I going to manage without my daughter? You know, just what's life going to look like without her? I don't know. I mean, it's Meagan, I miss you. I miss her so much. I miss her every single day.
The results came back for the blood test that said I was extremely over the limit. I think it was 2.5 times the legal limit.
My first reaction was, why did he get to live and my daughter died? Why did two innocent girls die and he lived?
As I was led into the courtroom, that was the first time I'd actually faced the families.
He pled not guilty when I knew, that he was intoxicated, and I knew that it was his fault that this happened. It was the choices that he made that caused this. I had a lot of anger in me, and looking at him, I'd been looking for remorse and sorrow from him, and I had not seen it, and I still didn't think I was seeing it during that trial. I didn't see it in him.
Renee had lost her daughter in a terrible tragedy, something no parent should ever face. How could she possibly move on?
I knew that the bitterness would eat me alive. I knew that the anger would as well, and I knew that it would chip away at the person that God intended for me to be, would chip away at the mom I'm supposed to be, at the friend that I'm supposed to be. And so I made a choice. It's all about choices. I made a choice. I am not going to be bitter. I'm not going to hate him. I'm not going to be angry forever. I'm going to deal with it as it comes. And I thought, I've got to trust God that this is the right thing to do.
After a long 7-day trial, I stand for judgment of the jury, and I hear them find me guilty of 2 counts of DUI manslaughter. Those first couple days in jail, the chaplain came to the door with a Bible that my mom had sent me. As I read, obviously I started in Genesis, started at page 1, and I couldn't believe these stories that were so relevant to my situation, to every situation that I've ever come into. Hope just started to re-enter my soul.
When I looked at Eric at the sentencing, I saw a young man who made a really horrible choice. He's facing a long time in prison.
What I was really expecting was for someone in the audience, for something, a loud outburst of hatred to come towards me, because that's what I was feeling for myself.
The grief is suffocating at times, but my faith in God sustains me. Eric, I'm telling you here today that I forgive you. I actually did it a year ago. Forgiveness is such an essential part of healing. I've never hated you or your family. In fact, we agonize for everyone who is affected by this.
I remember it so vividly. She stopped what she was doing, and she made a point of turning and facing and looking at me when she was giving her victim impact statement, and she looked at me and she said, "Eric, I forgive you." And talk about being a living example of what the Bible says. I strove from that moment on to figure out how she could possibly do that.
Because God gave us, it's a command. He gave us that command. He didn't give us an option. He didn't say forgive, but only if they do this, and you don't have to forgive if they do this. It's forgive 70 times 7. You have to forgive.
A belief is only as strong as the actions that it produces. And whenever she turned to me and said, "I forgive you," I was all in for Jesus Christ.
Renee's extraordinary decision to forgive Eric was just the beginning. Over the next 5 years, Eric found his faith in God. From jail, he developed a relationship with Renee's family. And then Renee decided to do something even more remarkable. She pleaded to the judge to reduce his sentence.
Now that Eric has said that he's taking responsibility, I feel like 22 years in my family, we feel like it's too long for him to be there. I think we should go back before the judge and see if he'll restructure the sentences to concurrent.
They called us for a hearing in 2006. The Napier family to show up that day on my behalf, to have written letters to the judge. I'm undeserving, the grace, undeserved mercy.
My heart was about to pop. I was just so thankful that my children had compassion on him and that they were forgiving him as well.
And then the judge came back and he told me that this was something he had never seen in the 20 years plus that he had been on the bench. And he said, because of this and what's going on, I believe this is a mitigating factor and I'm going to reduce your sentence.
After Eric's sentence was reduced, Renee wanted to tell the world about the dangers of drinking and driving. While Eric was still in prison, Renee petitioned for Eric to be allowed to travel and speak in high school auditoriums. Their first speaking event together was at Meagan's former high school.
I just prayed, and I said, God, I've prayed so much up until this point, and I don't even know what to pray right now except this. Please show up. Because I know that if you show up, that I don't have to worry about anything. And so I walked into that gym and got before those students, and God just was there in that moment. And then when I introduced Eric, they were so shocked. They were not expecting that.
I was escorted out there by an officer, and they unhooked my handcuffs so I could hold the microphone. And in that moment, Renee walked up to me, and she didn't just hand me the microphone, but she gave me a hug. Feeling the love of someone that I had hurt so deeply. Feeling the forgiveness in action. It wasn't that she just said it, but now she was showing it outwardly for everyone to see.
I felt like the audience really needed to see that I was genuine, that somebody can make a horrible choice that takes the lives of 2 girls and can be forgiven, and then healing can begin, and you can actually be in the same place at the same time with this person, and you can be okay.
I didn't think in those early days after the accident that this was something that I would ever overcome. The grief that I've caused on May 11th, 2002. Overcoming my past is a renewed life through Christ.
The most important thing is to live with love in your heart and forgiveness, and so that you can have peace and joy, because honestly, I think that's what we're all striving for.